I think we can all acknowledge that AI art would not be as far along as it is without the great inspiration of the anime waifus, what they provided.
Enigmatic E.
Hey everyone, today I have a special guest. I got Jboogx. He is an AI content creator, and I actually will let him introduce himself and basically what he is into and what he does when it comes to AI and just video content.
What's up, everyone? Pleasure to be here. My name is Jboogx. You can find me on social media at Jboogx with an X dot creative. I'm a AI content creator. I lean heavily into Warpfusion, and professionally, I shoot street dance videos for the Stance Elements team, which is the largest street dance social media group. And I just do all around general content creation for small businesses locally in Hawaii. And I edit videos for a living. But the AI stuff is what we're here to talk about.
Actually, I want to kind of talk about, because I kind of joked about how you should share your prompts and settings. As a joke, I just said, hey, the first question is, can you share your settings and prompts? But you had a really interesting answer to that. Can you repeat that again?
When it comes to the settings and the prompts, like that's the first thing that everyone asks. When I was really first starting this stuff, I was much more open to sharing my prompts and my settings files directly with people. And then someone on an Instagram post, I saw something that was very specific to a prompt that I sat here for hours, and my girlfriend was right here next to me helping me figure out this prompt. And it was this video where we got the faces of everyone who are in these robes in like a dance cipher to actually be swirling galaxies, and that was something that was not a characteristic of like the Laura that I was using on that or the model. And so that was really cool. And then I was helping this guy out, and I shared it with him, and on the post I saw he made using it, I saw the swirling galaxy faces, and that was something really specific that we came up with. And so I was like, okay, I can help people figure stuff out, but I'm not gonna share exactly, like, because this stuff takes time, Like, people think it's a press of a button, but it's not.
I'm just curious. Did he even credit you?
He did,
Okay.
but while like it immediately didn't bother me, but then like the more I watch it, the more I kind of felt like, because coming from the street dance scene, it's just, I want to say raised because I've been dancing for such a long time. You're raised to just like understand that biting is not okay, and even if you take something from someone or you borrow something from someone, you have to flip that so it is original, and people shouldn't even be able to tell that it came from another person anymore.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, especially when you spend so many hours on this and then suddenly someone just in a few minutes just like, grabs all that hard work and just they do it. And then I am sure there's going to be some people watching this. They're going to be like, yeah, but what about all those artists that
Mhm.
spend hours and hours, perfecting their style? And then suddenly somebody comes and just puts in art style by so and so, or gets a Laura and gets their style, or trains a checkpoint model and a style, and then suddenly they're using that. Isn't that something that's very similar to what you're saying? What would you say to someone like
So
that?
so what I would say to that, and where I think the difference lies, and maybe this is me just justifying it to myself because I'm in
Right.
love with the AI art, so I can fully recognize my bias here. With that being said, for as long as anyone has been creative or been in a creative field, people are always pulling inspiration from other artists, and hopefully they're taking that inspiration and flipping it and remixing it into something that is uniquely their own, but in a way is still like a nod to the
Hmm.
person who inspired them. The only difference with the AI stuff is it's a lot easier to miss that originality bit and just be happy with inputting the style and making something cool and sending it off. We have such a great opportunity to be directly influenced from other artists' art, take it and turn it into something so wild that
Hmm.
it could be completely unrecognizable, and we could find our own voice in the AI stuff. The only difference now is because of the nature of AI and how fast this stuff works, we have the ability to do that at scale. and
Mhm.
faster than anyone could ever be inspired and recreate something from something they were inspired by before in human
Right.
history. I think that if you're making the earnest effort to be original with it, that's what matters.
Let's say somebody, you know, the person that you gave those settings to that did the whole swirling galaxy thing that you're talking about, would you have an issue if they used that concept in it, but like kind of morphed it in some way, like kind of changed it in some way? Would that be a little bit make you feel a little bit better about that situation, or would you still feel kind of like, ah, that's still kind of biting?
If it wasn't so blatantly recognizable when I watched it.
Right.
That was my main issue with it because there were other little things in it that really made me be able to identify that like there was very little original prompting going on there from the file that I shared. How long on average do you spend when you're making an AI video, like a fresh one for like a tutorial or something? Like what's the average hourly, output from you on one of these things?
Oh man, it just depends really, like what I'm going for. But I typically start from scratch. Like I don't even know where to grab people's settings, to be honest. Like besides other YouTubers, unless I ask for it, right? But it's
Mhm.
typically just me, just yeah, just experimenting. And I do have settings that I know kind of work already. Like I have like my default, right, and then I go from there. But typically, it's a little bit faster now. I think at the beginning is when I took so long because it just took so long to figure out. Like especially like something like
Yep.
Warpfusion, it takes hours to figure out what what latent schedule does, what style schedule does, all these things. Like what
Mhm.
do all these parameters do, right? That takes a long time. I've spent I don't even know how many hours, bro. Like so many hours. But when I'm starting something new, it typically takes me probably like 2 to 3 hours to get something where I think looks good. But sometimes even less than that. But that's because of the time I spent with it already. So you get good at it at some point, right? You get efficient.
So I definitely feel more efficient in it now, but
Mhm.
then it doesn't stop the part of me that there's things that I know that AI is going to struggle with. Like as
Mhm.
soon as I see a video, I can be like, "Oh, this part is going to suck."
Yes,
But
yes.
like typically, so I'll spend anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes with a video pre even getting it into the notebook, doing some prep work in Adobe Premiere, sometimes After Effects and Topaz. I have like a whole process I go through before it even gets to the AI part. And
Right.
then the AI part, um, like sometimes I have an idea for a video and the idea just does not cooperate with the footage. S- so I have a settings folder full of like different base styles that I've kind of came up with just
Mhm.
through my course of experimenting. So like if I want to do something that's more like 2D, cell shaded, vector arty, I have a setting file for that. If I want to do something that looks a little bit more 2.5 to 3D, I
Mhm.
have a settings file for that with like base things that then I can alter
Right.
real quick.
What is your I was gonna ask you, what is your go-to checkpoints that you like to use?
Oh man, I have such a hard time getting away from deliberate.
Yeah,
Deliberate
deliberate,
V2 just
yeah.
has me in like a chokehold because like the anime checkpoints are a little too anime
Mhm.
for me. And when I try to push those really hard into like something specific that I tend to try to, I usually end up breaking the model.
Mm,
Like the animation just can't hold what it's
right.
trying to do, especially since like a lot of what I work with are dance videos. I'm trying to branch out, but like I'm a dance videographer by trade, so
Mhm.
that's naturally what I gravitate towards. Deliberate. When I first started off, I was using Rev all the time, but then I started to notice that just like the characters that Rev creates all have a very specific look, and
Yeah.
so everything
You can
started to feel very samey after a while.
Yeah, I actually I've used both, and those are definitely one of my go-tos, Rev and Deliberate. But I do like Deliberate a little bit more just because it has a little bit different styles to it. Like if you put different prompts, and I feel like Rev definitely gives you a very specific kind of style where
Mhm.
it's recognizable. You can say like, I think that was made with Rev.
Let me ask you this: are you a paragraph prompter or are you a simple prompter?
Yeah. It's funny how I know what you mean by that. It's like I think anybody who's done AI, like who's done this AI thing long enough, knows exactly what you mean by that. Sometimes, like if I'm trying to test out a new model and I go to Civet AI, for example, what I like to do is I like to look at the images on the page of where the checkpoint is at, and then look at something that looks like, oh, this looks really cool. I like what they did with this, and then I click on the image, and it shows you the
Mhm.
prompt and the negative prompt. Sometimes I just copy a lot of that, the stuff that makes sense, or I delete the whatever doesn't make sense with what I'm trying to do, and then I have like this big old paragraph of prompts. Sometimes the paragraphs like work really well, and sometimes they don't. And so when the paragraph doesn't work, then I just pretty much remove everything and just like put very specific, like one sentence kind of prompt. What about you? What is your method?
So it's funny, I have one settings file that is it is a fat paragraph, and that one gets me, like, I use it when I'm going for a very specific type of anime look, because by the whatever luck I ran into, there is a specific something I ran into in there that gives me a look that I don't see anywhere else, so I cling on
Right,
to that one for dear life, and I just try not to use it all the time.
right.
That being said, whenever I do use that settings file and I'm looking at that and I want to change something, I almost get decision fatigue, because
Mm,
there's just so much in it that I'm like, I don't want to change too much, because then I don't know, like, if something breaks, what broke it. I still keep that one in my pocket for specific videos, but what I've been leaning heavier into lately is simple prompting, but leaning very heavily into Laura's
mm,
and combining Laura's and playing with the strengths of the combination. So a lot of my videos now will have anywhere from like 3 to 7 Laura's on them
that's
and most
crazy
of them
though.
will be at like point 0.2, point 0.3. I even have like a custom one that my friend his Instagram name is Machine Delusions. Super talented and like a master model and Laura trainer. And he helped me train a very custom Laura for myself that I use on almost all my videos now. So there's a little bit of something that if someone wanted to copy me, they can't get out of it
Right.
because no one else has it. Um, and I really think that that's the way artists are going to have to go to find
Mm.
originality, is creating their own custom models and custom Lauras and leaning into that more so than the prompting, because the prompting's only going to take you so far.
That's cool. I mean, I think that's where you're gonna get some originality. I think where you can really get you can get somebody to copy the exact same results is when you're just getting it straight from the checkpoint without any Lauras. For example, the whole the guy who does the marble thing, like the statues,
Oh, Gertie,
Gertie,
Gertie.
right? A lot of people were able to replicate that style. I'm not sure if he uses Loras or anything, but I think he gets it straight from the checkpoint, because I was able to get very similar results too. I did one video just trying to see if I can get that look, and someone can just grab something like what he did and then just like make it look very very much the same.
Which a lot of people
Yeah,
did.
which a lot of people did. He started that trend, man.
Bro, he blew up. He almost has 1 million followers
Damn.
now. And the cool thing is Gertie is a really great guy. Like, if you ever talk to him, like, he's a really sweet dude. So mm, big props to him. And like, honestly, that's what we're all kind of hunting for, right? The one thing that strikes gold.
Right,
And usually it's the thing, like, I know that whenever I make something, I'm like, I really love
right.
this. This has to do
Yeah,
good. It never does good, and it's the one that I'm, like, hesitant to put up that I'm like, "Oh, this is trash,"
yeah.
that, like, takes off.
Like what I've noticed, at least for me, like sometimes the most basic AI videos are the ones that get the most attention. Sometimes it's just like a simple concept. Something like, for example, do you know that trend of the deform trend where the guy poses? I think it's like his name was like Original Mac or something like that.
And then he literally set off the Deform
Yes,
trend.
like now everybody like wants to learn about deform because of that specific thing.
It's the simple things, man. Sometimes we will sit here as creators, we will sit here and we will rack our brains trying to think of, like, the new thing that's gonna blow everyone away, and that new thing is probably something so simple that it's right in
Right.
front of us, and we don't even know it. But I mean, just to kind of prove your point that no one is immune to the trends, everyone jumped on the Deform train because of original Mac or original
Yeah.
mock. You go to his page, that man's making statue videos
Yeah,
too.
I seen that. I seen he's making statue videos too. He probably has tons and tons of views on his first or third upload of that transition that he does, and that's at some
Yep.
point is like it's not as impressive, and so like maybe he's trying something different and he's just trying to switch it up and stuff.
Well, plus it gets overly saturated.
It gets
People
oversaturated.
start
Yeah,
making tutorials on how to do it, and then next thing you know, everyone is doing it, and then all of a sudden, you as the creator, like, that's why you kind of milk something for all it's worth while you got it and while it's hot. But you got to be thinking about what your next
right,
thing is, because if it's hot and you blow up because of it, everyone is going to follow
right.
suit. That's just the way the whole thing goes.
Yeah. Is there like a specific video for you that kind of like got you a lot of attention, or has it been just a consistent? Almost every single day you had a new video, and I'm like, damn, this guy never stops.
Every day. That it was like a solid month and a half, almost 2 months of I would be editing wedding videos during the day, managing the couple social media accounts I manage, and creating content for other people during the day, and then as soon as I clocked out from my 9 to 5, even though it's still from the comfort of my desk, I would immediately start a warp, and my goal every day was to get a warp going and rendering and get like the settings in place and the consistency and everything, but get the actual render going by 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. That way it would be finished the next morning. And every time I would post a video, I would get hit up by an even larger influencer. And like, I hate to say it because it makes me feel really weird saying it, but for that month, I felt like I was climbing a ladder of
Mm,
influencers, because every day I was getting a DM from someone that had 100,000 followers more than the last person
yeah,
that hit me up. And because I was posting a video every day, like right now, I have so many projects I'm doing that I'm not able to create content at the same
mm,
frequency. But all those videos I posted, every time I refresh my Instagram feed, it's just like a row of new
mm,
likes, and I'm still getting follows off of all that work I put in 2 months
right.
ago. But I did have 2 videos out of that whole bunch that both individually hit 1,000,000
Damn.
views. So that number actually does help, even though people are like, followers don't matter. If you do this professionally, it kinda
Right.
does. And it took me 2018 to 5 months ago to hit 10,000. And in the 2 months, I was grinding at AI every day, just obsessed, trying to learn this stuff, trying to get better at it, trying to come up with new concepts, make each video better than the last. 2 months, another 10,000 followers
Damn.
in what I just spent the last 4 or 5 years working on.
Yeah.
I have not been so excited about something creatively as I am about the AI stuff, and specifically Warp and just all the possibilities it
Right.
opens, and the amount of time I don't have to spend
Yeah.
to get these crazy
Yeah.
results.
Because I know the feeling of uh like having to spend hours and hours on something just for it to get like 10 views, you know? It's like
Yep. And it hurts, but that feeling of it hurting, of like people, you feeling like the things you're making aren't resonating with
Mhm,
people, it will. I personally feel like for myself that it hurts a lot less if I genuinely liked that thing that I made, and it was something that I really wanted to make regardless. Because I have a couple videos on my page, deeper down in the whole thing, that were like, I knew they weren't going to hit big because there was nothing trendy about it, but it was like a personal project I wanted to complete for myself and for the person I was working with. I feel like the it starts to hurt a lot more if you're only creating things to try to trend and to try to go viral, and you're not making things that you're actually passionate about.
what was the first like videos or people that influenced you when it came to the whole AI thing? Like, what did you see? Like, what's the first AI video that you saw, or that you can remember that really said, "Oh shoot, I want to get into this."
I don't remember what specific video it was, but I do remember just seeing a bunch of Willis
Oh yeah,
visuals stuff, because I make dance videos. Willis pretty much at for a long time only exclusively did dance videos, and I saw his page and I saw a lot of parallels to what I was doing just filming, but it obviously just looked way
Mm,
cooler. So for a long time, I was working off of only a Mac, and then I finally got a PC. And when I got the PC, and I downloaded Automatic for the first time, and I was following your tutorials on how to use like temporal net and how to properly use control nets. But I was like, no, there's something wrong. This still doesn't look like this guy's.
mm-hmm,
And I stalked one of his Reddit posts, and I was reading through all the comments, and then I just saw he just like replied to someone and it said stable warp fusion.
mm,
And then I'm Googling stable warp fusion. No one's making tutorials on it yet.
right.
And I come across Alex's Patreon, and even finding the Patreon, and that's like where you get it from and where you learn how to install it. And it might like I might as well have been reading a different language. I was completely out of my depth and I had no idea. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, something that makes videos like this can't be this complicated. Am I just stupid? And I put the hours in, and also even before I saw Willis's videos, he reached out to me months ago before AI was even a thought in my head. And he asked me if he could use one of the dance videos I made for one of his AI projects. And the fact that Willis even hit me up to ask me that, I think says a lot about his character, because
Mm,
he could have just downloaded the video and
right.
did it. And I wouldn't have said anything. But if, as the person who arranges shooting the video, goes and shoots the video, edits the video, it could make me feel some type of way, right?
Right.
If someone just like takes something and then gets way more views on their the thing they made out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But Willis hit me up. I was like, "Yeah, man, no problem." And then when coming around full circle, when I finally got to the AI stuff, I hit him up. I was like, "Could you spare a couple minutes and jump in a Discord with me and just like help me wrap my head around this?" And
Mm-hmm.
Willis spared some of his like an hour out of his day and just like helped me hit the ground running. And it's been
Mm.
nonstop ever since.
Yeah, yeah. Willis does some amazing work. Like he's the one who actually uh hit me up too. Oh no, I actually commented on a video that he did because I was following him on Instagram, and yeah, he said, yeah, you should check out Warpfusion. He was very open about what he used, and like I didn't even ask him; he just told me about it, and he even said I should make a tutorial on it and everything, and because he said a lot of people are wanting to learn about it. Yeah, he hit me up, and I just love his stuff, like everything that he was doing. I didn't know how he was doing it because I thought like that doesn't look like stable diffusion. That looks different. And
Hmm.
he told me about it, and he actually helped me out with a lot of the settings and the prompts, and not the prompts. He helped me out with the settings. I asked him like, what does this do? What does that do? And he was just giving me some ideas of what settings to put in there. And I did created a video, and I did a dance video with Stuck
Yep.
Sanders. And I uploaded it's like a 2 minute dance video that I did. That's how I got started with Warpfusion was because of him. So yeah, different big props to him, and he does like really amazing work. And so yeah, big props to Willis.
Let's not leave out the biggest shout out to Alex, who I don't think
Oh
people
yeah.
sometimes fully appreciate the like effort and the amount of genius that it probably takes to take like he has some magic sauce in that in this thing, man, that just like everyone should go support that guy's Patreon.
Yes, yes. Like definitely go support him. Like don't just like when people ask me about the note, hey, can you pass me down the notebook?
No,
Like
no,
I'm
you
like,
go support him.
yeah, I think that you should support people who put a lot of work into what they do. Honestly, if you can pay $10 and you get a notebook, like it's not gonna break your bank, you know. Like we would be in a world without War Fusion if it wasn't for that guy. So yeah, because he's the only one who's
We be making videos with Kyber.
yeah, we exactly we like Kyber. Hey, hey,
No, no offense if you like Kyber.
hey, I'll allow it because I actually reached out to Kyber and somebody they saw my stuff and they're like, oh yeah, yeah, we're gonna give you access to whatever. And so like just email me and I emailed them and they never got back to me and I emailed again, hey, just just checking up to see if everything's good, if you're gonna give me access and not access, but just like unlimited access so I can do stuff with it, and they never did. I guess they lost interest, or they just totally just didn't think me as important. So yeah, like,
Kyber, you're missing out.
you're missing out, Kyber. Hey, hit me up again. No,
You know,
no.
you know, you know, you know. It's funny. A couple days ago, I got a DM on Instagram from one. I'm sure you see the ads all the time too, because I'm sure your Instagram algorithm is similar to mine. I'm sure
Right.
you see the ads for the apps that will create the deforum videos.
Yeah.
I got hit up by one of those apps, and they want to use me to advertise their application. I couldn't help but laugh at it because
Yeah. Bro, like I had so many people like email, so many like these companies email me like about just this AI app or this AI thing, and I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but Stable Diffusion does that.
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think my audience is gonna go for it. Like, they're not gonna want. I wouldn't go for it, so why would my audience go for it?
No,
So
man, you don't wanna sell the half-baked AI copycat app that's
yeah,
using an actual deforum video to advertise itself.
yeah. I think if somebody, if they hit me up and it's truly impressive and it's just like, oh man, this is, it doesn't even have to be as good as Warpfusion, but at least it has something unique about it that just, that nothing else out there has, like, then I'll do it. I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is interesting. Like, I would be interested in just trying it and testing it, but not, you know uh, like, it doesn't have to be better than or look the same as Warpfusion, as long as it's something unique or a little bit different or something you can't get already with what's out there.
Yeah, the problem with the apps, I think, and I mean, eventually, let's call a spade. Eventually, the stuff that we take pride in being able to move through so fluently now, that is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to operate. Eventually, it's going to reach a level where it's consumer friendly and people can make the quality of videos that we are making now
Right.
like that, and let's be honest, most likely from their cell phones.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, because this thing becomes a lot, like, all this becomes a lot user friendly and accessible to the masses, where people can just do something on their cell phone. Where do you think that leads people like you and me, or like just other people who do like AI content? You know what I mean?
Make, Making wedding videos. No,
Make you.
no, no. I'm joking. I'm joking. No, really though, the way I look at it, because I'm constantly trying to think further out now, because I think with how quickly, especially AI technology, is advancing, like every week there's some insane new thing being implemented or tested somewhere in the landscape. I I think that your personal taste and your personal art direction is going to be the thing that divides and separates you from everyone else that will eventually have the ability to make what you can make.
Hmm.
N- let's face it. I'm sure as someone who creates content for a living, not everyone has good taste,
Mm,
and that's not a knock on anyone, but it's that's why artists are able to be artists, and that's why some artists are able to make a substantial living off of their art, because they just have good taste and they have good art direction and they have a good sense of what's cool, and they have a
mm,
style. And finding a voice and finding a style in a sea of where things can be more the same
yeah.
now more than ever, with just like what the internet is in its current state, and how like chat gpt didn't exist a year ago, and I use that for something every day now,
Yeah.
and it's made my life way easier, and I know people who do the same. It's still going to come down, I feel it's going to come down to taste and art direction, and the sooner you can start cultivating those things and not just focus on chasing trends and going viral, the better off you're going to be in the future when more people have the ability to do what you do on the technical side of things.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really where you're gonna have to find ways to separate yourself, right? Like, from the masses of, or like the crowd of just sameness, like using the same style, using the same prompts, using the same look for everything. I think that's where you're gonna have to find ways or find even other tools to incorporate with that so that you do stand out, or just sprinkle in AI with other stuff, you know?
I look, man, I think we can all acknowledge that AI art would not be as far along as it is currently without the great inspiration of the anime waifus and what they've provided everyone who trains these models and trains everything. But
Right.
you know, I scroll through Instagram and I scroll through the Stable Diffusion subreddit and even through these various discords, I'm just like, okay, guys, like how many anime waifu videos and how many cyberpunk cyborg videos can we like what's your thing? Like I'm really
Yeah.
passionate and I get really excited when I'm able to see something and recognize that it's that person's voice in it.
Right.
That's what makes me really excited and that's what makes me want to watch something over and over. What makes me want to follow someone, what makes me want to interact with people is when I see that they're putting their foot forward to inject themselves in what they're making.
Do you feel like people who do AI, like the ones that want to take it serious at least, should learn stuff like After Effects, or like editing software, or like even Blender or 3D modeling and stuff like that?
I so as someone who made the Blender donut and has been frightened to open up Blender ever since, um, I, I I do I do, and as someone who is a professional filmmaker and editor by trade, and that's how I make my principal living. I think that understanding editing software only makes your skill set in AI professionally more viable because
Mm,
in the past couple months I've been on a handful of paid AI projects where I've actually gotten paid decent money to do what I do on my Instagram. Some of the projects have a dedicated VFX team that does all the compositing and the rotoscoping and all that stuff,
mhm.
and that is wonderful. You mean I
Right.
can just warp and tweak the settings? Sign me up.
Right.
But there are ones that also like maybe they're not expecting, you know, Hollywood style VFX, but there are some people that don't have that budget that still want to hire you to do the AI stuff, but they also want you to be kind of a one-stop shop.
Right.
And if you know basic After Effects and you can navigate your way around Premiere and you have some sense of style in video editing, it's only going to strengthen your case for being a professional with this.
I mean, if you don't want to, I mean, that's up to you. But I would think that people would benefit. People that want to take it serious or want to get paid for it, they would benefit from learning at least like editing softwares like Premiere or even DaVinci, or After Effects, because I've seen myself in situations where had done work, AI work, and then they send me a video and it's really dark. So if I didn't put that video through Premiere and just adjusted the colors, my AI video would look horrible because it's just the color is off, right? It's not good. And if you don't have those basic skills, or like, or let's say for some reason they hand you a video and you have to do something to it, you want to crop in and like zoom in to the subject because they're really tiny on the screen and they're really far from the camera, and you want to, and you already know this, that if you run that through Warpfusion, it's going to look like mush, right? If it's really far off. So you have to like zoom in, and unless you know how to do that, like you're gonna be stuck or not get the results that you want.
And I think something that separates a lot of people with these videos on Instagram is not only the quality of the initial video, and you're all the much better if it's a video you actually shot yourself with a dope
Right.
camera and you nailed your settings, but if it's not and you pull a video off the internet, if you know how to properly pre-treat it in Premiere and using Topaz Video
Hmm.
AI, you can it took me a minute to realize this, but like 95% of my biggest headaches in Warp Fusion came from something as simple as the video, the subject just wasn't cropped in and taking up enough of the frame.
Hmm.
And spending that extra time to run through a checklist before I even get to the AI part eliminates almost like the bulk of the headaches
Hmm.
I've had. So yeah, having those skills will always only benefit you.
Yeah, especially if you're doing it. I think even if you do it, if you're doing it professionally, someone hands you videos and they expect you to know what to do with the video, like, or you don't know what kind of quality the video is going to be. And like when you're doing it for fun on Instagram or whatever, or you're doing it yourself, like you can handpick the videos you want, right? Like you just grab them from the internet somewhere. But if you're doing it professionally, you can't control what's being given to you, so you have to know what to do with that video that they're handing you. So if you don't know how to fix that, like, and if you can even fix that, um if you don't know the options out there, then you wouldn't know how to do this job, and you might not even get, yeah, they might get rid of you or not, decide not to work with you because you didn't know how to work with the footage they gave you. So
So here, I'm gonna share this with you since
yeah.
it's kind of relevant to this topic. So let me just pull my screen up. This is a video I did as a test to like kind of test some commercial viability.
Mm,
And this is just like a really short section of a Lexus commercial from here in Hawaii. And this is from specifically the island that I live on in Honolulu. And I wanted to try to keep the Hawaii vibe and but just like add some interesting elements here. So let me play it once through. It's only a couple seconds.
mm,
Boom. And so I'll let it keep looping here. Now, I tried prompting this thing to death. I was trying to get like some video game-esque looking elements on the background, and nothing I prompted would give me what I wanted without completely like changing the car beyond recognition.
right.
So what I did was I took the original footage and I ran it through After Effects, and I spent maybe 45 minutes doing this. Quick and dirty After Effects.
Yeah.
These these like corridor circle looking things that are in the mountains along
Mhm,
with this smiley face right here. These are just simple 2D quick little animated things that I motion tracked
mm,
onto the mountains, and then when I ran it through Warp, it like embedded them into the landscape,
yeah,
and it looks like they're built in to the mountain. And
yeah,
it it took me 5 minutes to motion track those things
yeah.
onto the background.
Yeah, and this actually reminds me. I'll actually pull it up right now, of something that I seen, Mr. Boofy do, where he includes like, other elements into the footage to have a little bit more control, and also to, uh, yeah, to do very specific looks right here, because yeah, like the you couldn't just prompt these circles to appear, these round things, or the happy face. You can't prompt that
Nope.
and have it appear. Like it probably has, you'll probably see like smiley faces all over the place if you did that. But but even the, like, yeah, the background, like the mountains that are expanding like that, you can't do that unless you did it like the way you did it, the way
So
yeah,
and that was a happy accident. So all I did was I took the real mountainscape right here and I rotoscoped it
yeah,
and along with the edge of the ocean right here. And then behind it, I just dropped a simple black and white animated grid
yeah.
that kind of animates forward.
Hmm.
And without even like prompting for the mountains, when the grid pushes forward, it like creates this whole new mountainscape that just kind of pops up behind the existing mountains and it looks super cool.
Yeah, yeah. That is. I can see the grid. I can see the lines of the grid there. But it's crazy how it did create those mountains.
Yeah, but I really think this is where the commercial viability of this stuff comes into play because
Right.
if you're doing something for a brand with AI, they are going to want very rarely will you work with a client that's paying you real money and they're going to give you full creative freedom,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the more little stuff like this where you know how to motivate the AI to get the looks that's like to do specific things that you might have to do for a job, the better off you're going to be in the long term. So I think this as just like a little practice project was really successful in me understanding like how I can use just like really quick, simple, basic After Effects skills and create something that if I was to do this only in After Effects, this would be like a 2-3 week project for me.
Right. If somebody who's watching wants to do this professionally, um, you will not like if you're trying to do it for big commercials and stuff like that. They're rarely gonna just say like, yeah, just do whatever you want, because the thing is
Just
like,
do your thing.
yeah, just do your thing. Like the most of the time, they're gonna say we want this very specific thing.
I'm just telling you, man, I can't imagine, Louis Vuitton hiring you for a campaign as the AI artist and saying, "Give us the cyberpunk cyborg."
That's
Oh, okay.
hilarious.
I've seen this video from Boofy. This is insane.
Yes, so I wanted to share a little bit of what Boofy's doing, because he's shared with me some. I don't think he has it on here, but like just in like DMs, he shared with me commercial stuff that he's done. But
Yep.
the commercial stuff that he has done was not just running it through Warpfusion. It's very much stuff like you're seeing here. This is not just Warpfusion. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing, but I know there's a lot of like motion graphics and stuff happening here.
The other thing that will eventually be an issue for commercial viability for all this is the issue of keeping logos
Yeah,
legible.
yeah, that's another thing.
Because I think at the end of this video or halfway through it, he posts like the
Yeah.
initial thing. I think this is just quick and dirty After Effects.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
look at that.
okay. Okay, yeah, yeah, it is After Effects. Yeah, like that. I think these are elements that I think make something kind of stand out. What does your setup look like right now when it comes to just like creating AI content?
So currently, I have I'm fortunate enough that I have two computers. I have a M1 Ultra Mac Studio with 64 gigs of RAM, and then I also have a Intel 12900K with 64 gigs and a 3090 with 24 gigs of VRAM. Because if you're trying to do any of this AI stuff locally and you don't have at least 24 gigs of VRAM, you're going to have a bad time.
Right.
Um, and so if I'm just doing warps for myself, I run everything locally and I let them run overnight or just throughout the day on the PC. And I do all of my regular day to day editing work on my Mac Studio. And I have my PC running through remote desktop on one of my monitors so I can still monitor everything and keep up with it. If I am doing a commercial product or like a paid gig and it's viable, and especially if there's a time crunch, I have on my PC not only had a render running locally, but I will also use Collab Pro and run up to 2 sessions on an A100.
Mm,
And so
damn.
I've had 3 renders that I've had to babysit going at one
Oh my
time,
god.
and a fourth with a friend on Discord rendering on their collab that I threw them some money for. So
Then you're really busy, man. You're really doing just nonstop. So people can make some good money doing this. Pretty much, that's what you're trying to say.
people people can definitely make some good money doing this, especially if you get noticed and get the right type of gigs.
Mm,
And I just I don't think that as much as people might want it to, the AI stuff is not going to go away.
right.
And guys like you and me who have a background in filming and editing traditionally and doing commercial work and whatnot, um, adding this to our toolkit and being able to maybe upsell a client that just wanted some normal social media content made on AI content, but charging a premium for
Mhm.
that, it only strengthens what we're able to do as freelancers, you know?
Right. Yeah, but so thank you so much, bro, for doing this interview. Definitely give out your info where people can find you, and the socials and all that.
So if you want to check out my work, my main platform is Instagram. It's Jboogx, Jboogx .creative. Same thing on TikTok and same thing on YouTube. Both of those platforms I gotta get much better at using. I am going to start creating long form YouTube content. But I do have to give a shout out to a very select group of AI artists because I recognize that all the things I've been fortunate enough to do in the past couple months wouldn't have been possible without the help of the people that I kick it with on Discord all the time. And this is the part where I feel like it's really important to have to find a community of like-minded people because everyone can lift each other up. So I gotta give a shout out to Patches Flows, Kytra, who you can also find in the Derp Learning Discord, helping everyone all the time. She is amazing. Machine Delusions, Binks, Pookie Num Nums. You can look all these people up on Instagram. Their art is amazing. Willis Visual, of course, and Pixel Pusher. If you have not looked at Pixel Pusher's Instagram, which I'm pretty sure everyone has, Pixel Pusher is incredible. Also, the homie Dream Machine AI. Like, all of those people have been very instrumental in what I've been able to do, and I'm very grateful to consider all of them my friends at this point.
Awesome, man. Definitely go check them out and go support the AI community. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
Oh man, thank you. Pleasure's all mine. Like I said, I was watching your tutorials when I was still trying to figure out what the hell automatic was.
Yeah, man. Glad I could help somehow.